Hey guys, today I want to talk about something a little painful, or a lot, but it needs to be talked about. This is actually very, very helpful information. We're going to talk about the twin flame separation sickness, symptoms, and signs. So I'm going to list them off, and then we'll go back and explore each one point by point in greater depth. I'm also going to talk about why this is happening and what you can do to end them, while at the same time even getting your twin flame to not be separate from you, right? To not run from you. And I'll even talk a little bit about what they are kind of going through. So we're going to hit a lot of, cover a lot of bases. We're going to hit a lot of big, topics in this short video today. So what are the separation sickness symptoms and signs? Well, let's be honest about that, guys. When they pull away, when they start running away from you, it sucks. It's really, really painful, and it's a bunch of really bizarre shit that starts happening to you. Let's start with this one. Okay, the obsessive thinking, just right off the bat. So weird, because the obsessive thinking, it's like it's happening to you. You can't seem to turn it off. And I've never experienced anything like that before in my life. Have you? Didn't think so. It's beyond description. It's almost like if I had to describe it to you and you didn't know what I was talking about, you probably haven't had this happening to you. The obsessive thinking, where your brain is going literally 1 trillion miles an hour and you can't turn it off. You literally can't stop thinking about this person. So bizarre, so weird. Okay, number 2. The strange behavior that you're engaging in, acting desperate. For me personally, it was just generally being obsessed over this person, checking their social media 20, 30, 40, 50 times a day, literally, checking their social media, blowing up their phone, searching the internet, scouring the internet desperately every day for information about this, watching tarot reading after tarot reading all day long. Just like your whole world is all about this person. And by the way, context is very important. You really just kind of had like a little sort of flingy kind of thing. I mean, maybe you watching, one of you individually, you had a longer thing with your twin flame, but for most people, it's very short. It's between 4 and 8 weeks, the little bubble phase at the beginning where it's all super awesome and magical. Then they start to pull away, and you don't ordinarily act this fucking over the top after a little 4 to 6 week flingy kind of thing. Just a couple of dates, nothing like really serious, and then they take off and you just fucking crash and burn like no other. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Okay, number 3. What I call the weird energy shit, and that seems to be the official terminology on this YouTube channel. I'm just trying to lighten the mood up a little bit, not to make light of all of the other stuff, but this is actually kind of a cool one when you think about it. So I call it the weird energy shit, okay? Now you might experience it as a Kundalini activation, a Kundalini rising through your spine. I had myself personally, just like strange like bouts of energy that would course through my body, metaphysical energy, and it was so powerful, so strong, that I would be walking down the street and I would feel it like gripping and like pulling at me and jerking me around and pulling me into different directions, and people driving by would look at me like I was some kind of a weirdo. And it would always be that. It would be this weird kind of like metaphysical energy, okay? And that doesn't seem to happen to everybody. So if that hasn't happened to you, well, either get ready or don't worry about it. But it does seem to happen to most people, this weird metaphysical activation. And we're going to talk about why that happens. Okay, number 4, Satori, which is a very deeply spiritual experience of inner peace, like deep inner Zen. And this usually comes kind of at the end, where the obsessive thinking starts to slow down a little bit and you're not acting quite as desperate and weird, and maybe even the weird energy shit tapers off a little bit. You feel this sense of nirvana and euphoria, and it's like the mind, it just completely melts away, falls away, and you're left feeling this expansive inner peace, this presence, this, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just total nirvana, total inner peace. There's a documentary film that I often recommend to you all and to my students as well. Over 5,000 students that I've coached. I'm the world's leading twin flame coach. The documentary is called Samadhi, Samadhi. It's on YouTube for free. You can go watch it tonight. There's 3 parts. Don't skip around. Start with part 1 for sure, or the rest, they won't make sense to you. But just watch part 1. It's only an hour. It's totally free on YouTube. Samadhi, Samadhi. If you've experienced Satori, after you finish watching that documentary film, you're going to know it. You're going to know that has happened to you. It's beyond conceptual. That's why I'm having such a hard time explaining it. It's not of the mind. It's of the soul. Remember, your body, mind, soul. And so the obsessive thinking, the acting desperate, the weird energy shit, that's all the stuff that happens to the mind. Now I'm talking about the soul, which is like inner peace and joy and presence and that. Okay, that brings me to number 5. You have this knowing that you're going to be together. You have this knowing that you are one with them and that you're going to be together. And at the same time, the mind is telling you, how do you know that? There's like this doubt going on. But the knowing is coming from this deeper place, just like the Satori does. Okay, so I've kind of given you a little bit more information in just listing off the 5 signs at the beginning of this video. It took a little bit longer than I wanted, but that's okay. Because I kind of explained in great detail what it is. Now let's talk about why that is happening. And I even kind of alluded to that a little bit is what I'm saying. That's why we're already at 7.5 minutes, is because I already kind of started to break it down for you a little bit. So remember, your body, mind, soul. Well, your twin flame is your soul in another body. It's one soul in 2 bodies, right? So the soul, it incarnates, it reincarnates, it deincarnates, right? Like past lives that you've lived, past lives, your reincarnation, right? Well, this is just 2 incarnations of your soul that's going on right now. Okay, that's all this is. So this person literally is you, and that's why it is so triggering, because when you meet this person, your approach is through the ego personality, the mind, body, mind, soul, and that's the human condition. Okay, this is why I've been able to help so many wonderful, amazing students, is because I approach this the way of the ancients, not the new agey kind of fruity stuff. And I'm not putting that down. The new agey stuff is fine. That's just not what this is. If you approach it through the new agey stuff, you're going to get more like a psychological explanation, which is the mind. And what I talk with people about is the consciousness explanation, which is the soul, which is your twin flame. But that's the problem at the beginning. That's why there's these sicknesses, these symptoms, the separation sickness, is because when you meet your twin flame, you are of the belief that you are this personality, right? They call it the ego, the id, right? Body, mind, soul. Again, this is ancient Zen spiritualism. It's called the human condition. That's what Eckhart Tolle calls it. Everybody on earth, almost everybody, derives their sense of self from the mind, the personality. I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm a teacher, I'm a truck driver, I'm a bartender, I'm a construction worker, I'm a YouTuber, I'm a mom, I'm a brother, I've been to these places, I've done these things, I know these people, I've had these experiences, these are my beliefs, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, you know, memories, thoughts, emotions. And I'm not saying that's bad, that's just what that is, right? But when we derive our very sense of self, like beneath the physical body, what do we believe we are as a person, as a being? The mind. the personality, okay? And what's really true is that you are consciousness, which is the soul, body, mind, soul. So we just talked about the mind. Let's talk about the soul, and this will all make sense to you. So hang with me. So the soul is consciousness. The mind is thought, the soul is consciousness. So think about it this way. With the obsessive thinking, for example, or even the acting desperate, right? There's all these thoughts and emotions going on. And the obsessive thinking, this is going to sound strange, but just go with me. It's actually useful. It's actually trying to awaken you, right? They have a term for this in ancient Zen spiritualism. They call it ego death, right? We call it dark night of the soul in the so-called twin flame community, but it's the same exact thing. But in the Tao and in ancient Buddhism and those things, they called it ego death. Same thing, but the ego is breaking down, melting down, and it's very, very activated. And when you meet this person, as soon as they pull away, pow, it activates the breaking down of the ego personality. It's like, here's an analogy I often use. It's like construction workers coming in with a jackhammer, breaking up the concrete. And it's ego death. And when things die, it fucking hurts, okay? And you're having this obsessive thinking, and it's crazy, and it's out of control. But here's the thing. Here's why it's useful. You're forced to recognize that there's a you there observing it, a witness, a conscious observer who sees the obsessive thinking going on. And you might ask yourself, why am I acting like this? Why can't I get my mind to stop thinking about this fucking person that I was only in a little fling with for 6 or 8 weeks, kind of thing, right? This is bizarre. And you start to recognize that there is an observer of the mind, which is the soul. That's the consciousness. And by the way, just so you know, ego death is ordinarily not triggered by the meeting of your other self, your other incarnation, your twin flame, that's other incarnation of your soul, simultaneous incarnations of your soul. The reason you're going crazy and they're running away and maybe they're not treating you right or whatever it is, the whole reason that's going on with your twin flame, not anybody else, but your twin flame, is because you're approaching this through the personality, through the mind, okay? And when they pull away and they run away, that just makes it worse, and you start acting even more fucking weird. And you know it's not normal to act like this, but you can't help it. You can't help it. Now, most people, when their ego death, spiritual awakening, is triggered, it's not because they met their twin flame. Historically, again, this is ancient Zen spiritualism. That's all this really is. That's why, I'm not saying this to brag. I'm trying to just explain to you that there's an answer. Somebody figured it out, right? You're welcome. You're looking around desperately for answers on the internet, and I'm just another guy on the internet. Well, I'm telling you, this is known. We know what this is. This is something ancient. It's thousands of years old, okay? It's your spiritual awakening. That's all this is. It's just a direct triggering of your spiritual awakening because it's your actual soul who is triggering the awakening. Whereas with other people, historically, when their ego death, which is what triggers your spiritual awakening, takes place, it's like life circumstances, it's something else that triggers it. That's what's been going on for thousands of years, and that's why they call it ego death. It's the first step in your spiritual awakening. But this phenomenon where people are meeting the actual other incarnation of your soul, of their soul in real time, it's a direct experience with your soul. It's not something else out there that's triggering it all in here, okay? It wouldn't really be any different than if, say, you got in a time machine and went back and met your previous life, your previous incarnation, okay? So this is just your spiritual awakening, and you just need to treat it that way. Now, this also explains why the weird energy shit, all the weird metaphysical stuff, the Kundalini risings or energy moving around, tingling sensations. I often have people ask me about like physical pain that they are experiencing. Happens all the time. What I always tell people is if you're experiencing physical pain, please see a doctor first, a conventional doctor, to make sure it's not really something that's an actual medical condition. But as long as the doctor clears you, it's the metaphysical activations. You might feel pain in your heart chakra or in your gut or sacral chakra when your twin flame is running away. It's because of that metaphysical activation. Now, why is that metaphysical activation taking place? Well, again, remember, body, mind, soul. The mind, the ego, personality is breaking down, melting away to reveal the consciousness of you, the real soul. Okay? And again, why this person is acting the way they're acting is because you are approaching this whole thing through the mind, which is polarization. It's duality, like yin-yang. This is another ancient Zen spiritual teaching, yin-yang, duality. I mean, even conventional science is going to tell you that the mind is linear, right? Now, when all of this stuff breaks down and melts away, the mind, which is metaphysical, emotions, thoughts, metaphysical energy, right? When that metaphysical body is breaking down, yeah, you're going to feel these metaphysical sensations. Body, mind, soul. The mind is the metaphysical astral body. Okay, now, Satori, talking point number 4. Why would that be happening to you? Because this is your spiritual awakening. Of course you're going to be experiencing that. And the same is true of the knowing that we're going to be together. How do you know that? Because you are them. You are your twin flame. You're one soul in two bodies. And your mind is going to present doubt, right? But that's okay. That's the mind. The mind doesn't understand what the soul knows. It's a knowing, and that's all that needs to be said about it. So these are the twin flame ascension symptoms, why it's happening, and I want to talk a little bit about what you can do about it too, okay? So for example, like the knowing that you have, that you're going to be with this person, it's because you are them at the deeper level. The mind is what doubts. You know, you have this knowing you're going to be together, but then the mind is going, well, how do you know that? And you think it's you who is actually saying, well, how do you know that? You think it's you who is doubting. You're not your mind. You are the conscious observer of the mind, right? You are, the essence of who you really are is consciousness. The ego, which is where you used to derive your sense of self, is breaking down, right? You just have to go deeper into that. Right? This is why I always tell you guys to read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle and watch the Samadhi movie. That's a good place to start. You want to get your twin flame back? You want to get out of the obsessive thinking and the dark night of the soul, right? Ego death. You want to shut that down? You have to embrace your spiritual awakening, which is all this really is. When you look at the internet and they're talking about twin flame information, they think it's about being with the other person. And it's an easy mistake to make. That seems like the obvious thing that's going on here, but it's not. And the interesting thing is, if you don't make it about the person and go within and embrace your spiritual ascension instead, and I'm going to tell you how to do that, that's when they do come back. You just have to transcend the mind, the ego, the false sense of self, which they call Maya in some ancient Zen spiritual circles. Guys, that's all this is. You don't need to do inner child work, healing your inner child, clearing your karma, fixing your past life, inner child wounds, just whatever, with your twin flame. You know, and I'm not saying those things are bad necessarily, but number one, if you're doing anything to get your twin flame to come back, that's the mind. And again, the mind is polarization, it's duality, yin yang, push pull. The more that you focus on them, the more that they're going to focus on anything but you. So that's why they're running. And everybody else on the internet is telling you to do all this healing and stuff so that you can get them back. Well, if you're doing anything so that you can get them back, that's why they're running. But again, it's an easy mistake to make. I'm not even criticizing. So I get it. I get why that's kind of the general message that you get when you look for information about what to do about your twin flame on the internet, right? So you got to take your focus off of them, all the way completely off of them. This is why, like, I tell you guys, and I tell you guys this in the video, like I'll do a tarot reading, and I say this in the tarot reading. I'll tell people this in the tarot reading, that the tarot readings are bad for you and you got to stop watching them. And the only reason I do tarot readings is to get you onto my channel, and then I direct you to go watch my free coaching videos. Don't I? In every single tarot reading, right? Because I was there. I was watching tarot readings, desperately searching for answers. I get it. I get it. So I guess you could say it's kind of my clever way of getting people onto my channel. I'll do the tarot reading, and then I'll start blowing you up with my spiritual messages in the tarot reading and telling you to go watch my free coaching videos. And by the way, maybe you should think about doing that because I'm the world's leading twin flame coach. I'm just saying. And I'm not saying that to brag. Again, I know you're desperately looking for answers and you want to feel better. And I want you to feel better. And I got good news for you. Somebody figured it out. Hallelujah. And you know what I figured it out? It's ancient Zen spiritualism. So did I figure it out? Does that make me smart? I don't think so. Honestly, I don't think that's anything special. I just figured out, oh, this is your spiritual ascension. So read The Power of Now. Go within. Transcend the ego. That's how you shut all this down and get your twin flame to come back. You have to align with your soul. Get out of the ego. Read The Power of Now. Watch the Samadhi movie. Go down that rabbit hole of increasing your consciousness, not working with the ego and your inner child and that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff, again, isn't bad to do. That's just not what this journey is all about. It's not going to help you on this journey, okay? And anyway, that stuff doesn't even work very good unless you increase your consciousness first. So that's step one. You got to embrace Zen. You have to make a lifestyle out of meditation and practicing presence and slowing down energetically and allowing your consciousness to flow and to flourish. And that's all. And that's how you get your twin flame back and feel better too. I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back next time.